Welcome back, sicko. Okay, I'm just trying it for real.
That was not a proportionate response.
Sorry.
I'm leaving it in. I'm leaving all of this in.
The cackle.
Leave it in.
The absolute cackle.
I'm sorry. It was just the way she delivered it. It just tickled my little heart. My little black boy in my heart.
Welcome back, sickos, to another episode of Respect the Dead, the podcast where we just don't. Caelan, play the intro.
Everyone celebrated your demise, and now worms are eating your eyes. So don't you worry your rotting head as you sleep in your sodden bed. It's time to respect the dead.
This is a good song. I want like a lo-fi.
Yes. Oh my God. I bet our patrons would do that for us. So hi everyone. My name is Hoots.
I'm Caelan Conrad.
And I'm mainly Mandy.
And we're Respect the Dead. So I kind of want to start my episode this week with asking you all a question. Caelan, Mandy, what is your relationship with theme parks?
Ooh.
I worked at one once. I was
You worked at one?
I was a seasons pass processor when I was 14, and I had frosted tips and wore turtlenecks from Club Monaco.
Do you have seasons horror stories? Did you love it? Did you hate it?
I only worked there for a single year.
Mm-hmm.
It was very uncomfortable. I told someone that I didn't like my hips. And they were like, "So you're gay?"
What? What a leap of logic. And yet, at the same time, it makes sense.
I'm like, that's not a fair assumption, but you're right.
Only somebody
That's
immersed
fair.
in queer culture would be that specifically, like, self-conscious.
Yeah, but he was my supervisor, and then he was weird to me the rest of the time.
Oh,
so I was
no.
like, okay, maybe this isn't worth the like $7 an hour that I make from being here. We also like didn't get a discount on any food.
Really?
Oh, that's rude.
Yeah, you had to pay like park prices.
Oh, no,
so
it's
I'd be like,
expensive.
okay, well, I'm spending literally half of what I'm earning today on lunch. So I was like, maybe I don't come back here ever.
That's fair. Mandy.
Yeah.
But anyways, it was at Canada's Wonderland, which is
Wonderland.
yeah, it's owned by Paramount. If that's helpful to you, Hoots. I
Really? Paramount Pictures.
It's
Oh,
Paramount.
interesting.
Paramount Canada's Wonderland. They have little stars over it, so I'm assuming it's the same people.
So the same company. Crazy. I need to look them up and maybe go.
Yeah.
Mandy, what is your relationship to theme parks?
So I've never been to like a really, really big theme park. I've only been to like local ones around Maine. So,
Yeah.
for example, in Saco, we have Funtown Splashtown, which is like exactly what it sounds like. Yeah, you heard me. You heard me.
They took the very first offer. They were like, let's come up with some names. And the first guy was like, Funtown Splashtown.
And originally it was just
Two people said it at once. One guy was like Funtown, and his sister was like Splashtown, and they're like, let's just go with
because
both.
originally it was just Funtown, and it's just like, you know, there's like there's some merry-go-rounds, and there's like a couple.
But then they added water rides.
Yeah, and then later they added the water rides, and the water ride section is called
A
Splashtown.
state full of improvisers, just like
But-
yes anding every suggestion.
So it's like fun.
Yeah.
It's like no,
And-
like Funtown featuring Splashdown.
Yeah, I mean the theme song has been burned into my memory because the commercial played so often as a child.
Yes, let me hear it.
Are you ready for this? Okay, I'm not a singer like Hoots, but it's Funtown, Splashtown, USA, great American families come to play. Woo! And then as that part happens, there's like, come to Funtown, Splashtown, you can get and come ride the Dragons of Sin. Like that would happen. And then they play that part again at the very end.
This is my favorite thing in the entire world. I love shitty theme song.
Yeah, and there's a few other ones in the state that I haven't been to. Like I've never been to Aquaboggan, which is very close to Funtown Splashtown, and that one's strictly
She's the fuck out of me. Never been to what?
It's called Aquaboggan, and it's just strictly.
And you just said that like that was a word, and you just
it's very obvious, Caelan.
Right, you skated right past
Aquaboggan. I forget that other people don't know these places.
It's a water toboggan. That's amazing.
And that one is just a water park. That one's just a water park.
It's like a surfboard.
There's like there's one called Storyland. I've never been to that one, and that one is just like a little kid. It's more of a quote little kid theme.
It's for
park.
babies.
Yeah, and it's all like stories that you heard, like Little Bo Peep and Three
They
Bears.
have some of those in like Ontario called like Storybook Gardens or whatever the fuck.
Sounds like similar
it's
vibe.
like we have some deer that live in their own shit, and we have some like off-brand like Queen of Hearts, Alice in Wonderland like head cutouts that you can take pictures in.
Those
and,
too.
like that's about it.
So Hoots, why did you ask us about theme parks? I'm curious.
I hope it's unrelated.
Well, as I think everyone who knows me knows, I'm a big theme park fan.
Mm-hmm.
Like theme parks are kind of my jam.
You're real sicko for them.
And I currently work at a theme park. I'm a real sicko of theme parks.
Sicko.
And specifically, I'm a fan of Disneyland. We're not talking about Disney today. That's a story for another day. But as we know, Disneyland is kind of an extension of the ethos and attitudes of Walt Disney. And likewise, the now defunct theme park Our Subject Today created became an extension of the man himself. So today, we are going to talk about Gene Mulvihill and Action Park.
Ooh.
Are you guys familiar with Action Park at all?
No, I don't think so.
No, it looked like on your face like you were like, I'm gonna say a name and they may or may not recognize it, but I don't think Mandy and I have like ever looked into anything to do with this.
I was wondering if you would. I'm so happy.
I am ignorant.
I am so happy that you're both Action Park virgins.
I'm so ready for you to take my Action Park virginity. Do it, Poots. I trust you.
Buckle up, motherfuckers, because here we go.
Yes.
Oh God. So this is going to be like kind of a weird one because we're both talking about like a dead guy, but also a dead theme park, and they're both in the way that like Walt Disney and Disneyland are kind of like merged, and like talking about one is talking about the other. Like it's the same way with Eugene Mulvihill and Mulvihill and Action Park. He's got a weird Mulvihill.
Eugene Action Mulvihill.
Eugene Action Mulvihill. So Eugene Mulvihill grew up in West Orange, New Jersey, and he spent the 60s and 70s working as a venture capitalist on Wall Street, investing in everything from cancer drugs to real estate to cellular broadcast, like when that was still like a thing that you speculated on, to robotics. And during his time on Wall Street, he garnered a reputation for being a charismatic and prominent businessman, and he became friends with the future president of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Oh, no.
He got a Trump job.
Oh.
So his first run-ins...
What the fuck year is this?
The 70s, early 70s, 60s, early 70s.
Okay. I was picturing like a titan of industry, like riding like a coal train or something. But like, no, okay. This is like
60s, 70s Wall Street. Yeah.
Okay.
And so like a very young Donald Trump. His first run-ins with the law were when he became involved with some of Wall Street's infamous penny stocks and pump and dump schemes. Do you know about those?
I know a little bit.
Have you seen Wolf of Wall Street?
Yes, I have.
No, I've never seen a movie.
That's what penny stocks is like. Basically, like worthless stocks that they would like. It's like Bored Apes. They would like build them up like they're like worth something and then sell them to fucking dupes for a ridiculous amount of money.
So it's a scam.
Pump and dump schemes.
Yeah.
And when the securities company he invested in, Mayflower Securities, was suspended by the Securities Exchange Commission for, quote, selling its customers worthless securities in a bankrupt electronics company. It's a quote from the New York Times in 1974. So eventually, in the mid-70s, he and his friend Robert Brennan, who was an investor in the fake securities company, and a few other investors found Great American Recreation and buy a ski resort in Mount Vernon, New Jersey. Because again, like one of the things he invested in were like real estate ventures. And the ski resort ended up being fairly successful, but as ski resorts do, it really only generated income in the winters, and they wanted to garner income year round. So in 1976, they come up with this idea to construct a water park on the property that would operate in the warmer months. The Vernon Valley Summer Park began with the installation of an alpine slide built on one of the steep ski loops, 2 water slides, and a go-kart track. But the property was initially renamed Action Park as more attractions were added. So Action Park's slogan was, "You control the action," which was apt because it was really a place where rules were more like suggestions. It's been described as a cross between Ayn Rand and Lord of the Flies.
Okay.
Wait. A theme park was described this way?
Yeah.
How many kids got like a boulder pushed on them? Like,
oh boy.
And also, I have a question about a go-kart track on a mountain. I just have questions about how that's set up. I have never been skiing because I am not a dum-dum.
Yes.
Who like straps myself onto a couple sticks and like throws myself down a hill. I have no grace. I have no coordination. That is not something I would do. So I do not understand what like a ski resort looks like, but is it just on the hill?
No, there's like mountains and valleys, and the go-kart area, we'll get into the go-kart.
Okay.
But the like go-karts and like race carts and that kind of thing were built on flat stretches of the property.
Okay.
We'll get to that. So over its 18-year history, Action Park garnered nicknames such as Friction Park, Traction Park, Accident Park, and of course, Class Action Park.
Oh, that's a good one.
Okay, that's
Class
good.
action. I get what they did there.
Allegedly, this is a big allegedly, but an employee rumor was that Mulvihill's old friend Donald Trump was initially interested in becoming an investor in Action Park as it started to like kind of gain traction, but he pulled out after he visited the park. So like Donald J. Trump was like, "Oh, this is too dangerous and scammy for me."
He's like, that's
pretty bad.
He's like, this is unsafe. I can't deal with this amount of people getting hurt.
Yeah. I am Donald J. Trump.
This amount of potential lawsuits.
I am Donald J. Trump, and my morals and standards are a little bit, this is low for me.
That's pretty bad.
No. So Action Park was staffed pretty much entirely by teenagers who were eligible to work in the state of New Jersey by the age of 14.
Oh, good.
So many of the supervisors and managers were juniors and seniors in high school.
Oh, no.
So like you'd start working there at 14 and then you'd become a manager at 16.
I'm just picturing like a 14-year-old in charge of a ride.
Yeah.
Like,
what are you picturing?
Absolutely the fuck.
Something terrifying.
Like death, mayhem, carnage, like pure, like the essence of chaos. These are children. If someone had given me and my friends control of a fucking theme park when we were 14, we would have burned that mother lover to the ground. Like, Jesus, I am so excited. Okay, sorry. Okay, Hoots, go on. I am
so happy you're saying this, Caelan, because former teen ride operators reported frequently being high on pot or LSD and or drunk while working. And the guests were also so incredibly drunk. So one of Gene Mulvihill's passion projects was he fully dismantled and relocated a German microbrewery, like from Germany. He brought it piece by piece to the New Jersey theme park and installed it, and it sold cheap beer to the guests and pretty much just like gave it away to the underage employees because it's like, well, it's illegal to sell it to them, so we might as well just give them the beer.
And they're the ones running the places, so like,
yeah,
they're like,
they're the ones pouring the drinks.
Oh my god, no!
So hang on. So a bunch of
Mandy's losing it.
because I'm sorry. I'm just like earlier you said the Ayn Rand verse combined with Lord of the Flies, and I'm really getting the Lord of the Flies vibes right now because I'm like, great, a bunch of high off of LSD drug 14-year-olds in charge of a theme park. There's nothing. This is a horror story.
I want
so here for
this
this.
series.
Can't wait.
I kind of stand it. I kind of wish that it still existed.
I'm 100% in. Maybe child labor is hilarious. Like
literally, like the only adult is Gene Mulvihill, and he's a fucking lunatic.
Well, yeah, he put a bunch of high, drunk 14-year-olds in charge of a theme park.
No, he sounds like a fucking genius, like an idiot. Like, okay, if he's so much an idiot, then why did he come up with the best pitch for a TV show that I have ever fucking heard in my life?
Forget
like,
Squid Games.
I wish it was a reality
like
show.
Community meets Pretty Little Liars meets Parks and Rec. I'm like, this could be very good.
It's incredible.
Oh my God.
So Gene Mulvihill's teenaged employees called him Uncle Gene. Kind of like they called Walt Disney Uncle Walt, you know? And Uncle Gene didn't hire engineers to design any of his rides. Or when he did, they were like crackpot engineers who were blacklisted from other theme parks like Disney and Six Flags. And some of the designs for action park rides came directly from Mulvihill himself or his employees, who were teenagers. One of Mulvihill's designs was the infamous Cannonball Loop, which he allegedly sketched out on a napkin. I would like you to Google image search Cannonball Loop action park.
Already on my way.
What is your impression?
Okay, wait. What was Googling again? Sorry. What was it called again?
Cannonball Loop action park.
Absolutely the fuck not. How is that? This
is a water slide.
Ride.
What is this?
Oh my god, the broken neck.
This is a water slide.
It looks like a hose with a kink in it.
So, like, it's very normal for a roller coaster to have an inversion, but for obvious reasons, you
Not
can't do that with water for a water slide.
Water doesn't work like that.
Water doesn't work like that.
Which is why you would get an engineer, a water engineer,
Nope,
like someone whose
aquaneer.
job it is to know how to do that properly.
No, Uncle Gene would just draw something on a napkin and be like, "Make it happen, baby.
Okay,
Make it happen."
That's not even like a drawing.
Those high as
just a
fuck
line with a
14-year-olds are like,
squiggle.
no, I can do this. I can see it, man.
It's also held up on like 3 sticks. Do you notice that?
Like, no support.
Like, I could literally walk up and like kick that out from underneath it.
There's
It
no
also looks
regulation.
really small.
Oh my
like,
God.
I can't help it. Like,
Yeah,
I'm a fat
who is
girl
going
looking
through
at it.
that?
I'm like, who fit into
Very
this?
tight. I mean, that is
I'm
relevant.
sorry, but like me and my Paramount Canada's Wonderland hips are not sliding through that bad boy. Like, I'm so sorry, but no.
Oh my
So-
god.
Oh my god.
Both of you freaking out.
I'm crying.
I'm sorry.
This
I'm
is
just
amazing.
picturing when you get to the part of the loop when you realize you're falling towards your face onto the front of the slide. When you're like, oh, this isn't designed properly. Number 1, my back doesn't bend in this direction. And number 2, I think my nose is broken. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. Okay, sorry, go on.
They would literally have to hose you down to like make you as slippery as possible as you were going into it.
No.
And so the Cannonball Loop was initially tested using crash test dummies who came out of the other side of the slide missing limbs or their heads. So Uncle Gene Uncle Gene decided he needed to test with real humans, not the crash test dummies.
That's the problem.
So to test it,
yeah, that's how this goes. You start with dummies and then move directly to humans.
Yeah,
exactly.
Obviously.
So he offered the children working for him $100 a piece to try the ride. So they did.
Of course they did.
And they, believe it or not, like the Cannonball Loop didn't result in any deaths, but it was just like countless injuries. It did open, and it was like one of those rides where like...
Do you know what year this was?
70s, 80s. It was only open, the entire park was only open from the mid 70s to 1996. Cannonball Loop would have been, 70s, 80s.
Oh, okay. I was just checking what it is in today money because it's my favorite thing to do.
How much is $100 in 70s?
The $100, $350.
Okay. For teenagers. That's great money.
That's good fucking money.
Yeah. You would do it.
Hell, I'd be tempted by that, honestly. I'd be like,
I would do it now. And if I died, then I didn't get the money and I don't have to deal.
I would do it now for $100. Because I'm poor.
Yeah, I would do it for $100 in today's money.
I just imagine that you'd have to have a gift shop. You'd have to have a gift shop on the other side of that thing that's like, I survived the Cannonball Loop. Like, you'd have to.
Well, that's kind of like, that's a thing that a lot of people who like the generation just a little bit older than us that like went to Action Park would say is like part of it was like a badge of honor because like there were so many injuries that it was like I survived Action Park.
Yeah,
it's like ringing the doorbell of the local witch's house on your street and running. Yeah. It's like it's just for the crowd.
But if you live in New Jersey,
do they not have witches there?
If you live in New Jersey,
is that where this is?
What?
Is this in New Jersey?
Yeah, it's in New Jersey. It's in Vernon, New Jersey.
And that is a state?
It sure is. Yeah.
Yes, it is. Good job.
It's up in the Northeast. It's just south of New York.
That's so helpful to me. Thank you.
It's okay. So as I said, the Cannonball Loop didn't result in any deaths, but it did result in countless injuries. To what you were saying before, Mandy, if you were too small or too big, you'd get caught in the slide. And eventually they had to install an emergency hatch at the top of the loop to free traffic. Oh my God. And this is the worst part for me. After a number of guests came out of the Cannonball Loop displaying a bunch of odd scratches along their bodies, the slide was opened to reveal dozens of human teeth lodged into the foam lining the top of the loop that were ripped out of guests' skulls as they slammed their faces inside of the slide on the way up. And then they would scratch other guests as they were coming by. Can you imagine you get a fucking like weird scratch on your arm and you find out later it's some other guy's fucking teeth?
This is the slide that keeps on giving. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Okay. Earlier when I said you would fall and break your nose, I did not think about the teeth losing.
I didn't think about loose teeth.
And even
either.
if I had, I wouldn't have thought of them getting lodged in to form some sort of like horrible like tooth comb for your skin.
It's like the inside of a snake's throat.
I'm just imagining like...
No, absolutely the fuck not.
Yeah, it's like... I'm thinking about so many monster movies, like a Sarlacc pit situation or some kind of weird gullet.
Okay, I'm not going on any slide that has an emergency hatch that they have to use once a day. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, if I was getting on a plane and they were like, oh yeah, no, keep your parachute on, I would probably get off.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Okay.
I'm thinking of the infections. Like, imagine getting like scratches on your arm and you're like, oh, that's from someone's mouth.
Human mouths are disgusting.
No, that's nasty.
And then if you think about a bunch of kids.
Not only that.
Kids' mouths, the worst.
Kids' mouths are the worst. They're so gross.
Oh, the baby teeth.
I lost my molars.
But like on top of that, it's not just teeth. It's teeth with like skin that's been scraped off. That's like rotting inside the teeth. There's like layers of different people's skin rotting in those teeth in that slide.
And dirty water.
Oh.
I can imagine being the kind of mom, though. I can imagine being the kind of mom that would be like, Billy's tooth has been loose for like 2 weeks now. I'm just going to send him down the Cannonball Loop to get rid of it.
Knock it right loose. Oh my God. And this is like, this feels like the origin of some kind of zombie apocalypse. It's like, oh, we went down the Cannonball slide and then came out and he had like a bunch of other people's teeth and skin embedded in his body. And then he became a zombie. Like, where's that short story?
I'm sorry, but it really feels like a person couldn't fit in there at all. Like no matter what I really want a photo. No, I want a photo. It doesn't look hollow.
They're small.
Like I need a photo of
small.
somebody standing directly beside it or like coming out of it.
The stories of it at the time were like basically, if you were too big, you would get caught. But if you were too small, you'd go in so fast that you would like slam at the top and lose your teeth. So Action Park was split up into 3 different lands. And I'm going to go through some of the lands and some of the rides within. There was Motor World, which had the super go-karts that I mentioned kind of briefly before. They allowed guests to drive around a small loop track that was flat at a speed of about 20 miles per hour, which is 32 kilometers, which was controlled by a device on the cart that could be altered by like wedging a tennis ball in it. So you could like bypass the device that controlled the speed by lodging a tennis ball in it. And so that they could actually get the go-karts to go up to about 50 miles per hour, which is 80 kilometers. And the guests would treat them like bumper cars. Jesus. At 50 miles an hour. Oh, no. So
let's just crash our cars into each other at 50 miles per hour. What could go wrong?
In like a metal frame on wheels.
So they resulted in lots of injuries. The carts were also like very poorly maintained. So guests would frequently have to receive medical attention because they were overcome by the gasoline fumes as they drove.
No, or just these like thick clouds of smoke behind each person as they like ram into each other. Like it's like driving down the highway in like a car that's just a metal frame and wheels and smashing into each other and knowing that the only people that are there to help you are a bunch of 14-year-olds on LSD.
I think I would just not bother. Be like, I'll just limp my way home. It's fine.
I'm so glad you mentioned the highway, Caitlin, because they also had
where we go with this?
They also had like miniature race cars called the Lola cars that were on a different track that was longer, and there was actually an upcharge to go use them. And allegedly, former employees would often get drunk and then at the German microbrewery. And then take the Lola cars out and ride them on Route 94 on the freeway. They would get shit-faced and take the mini race cars out on the freeway.
Oh my God, this is...
I love these kids.
I would 100% have done that. I would have totally done it. I would have been drunk and just been like, yeah, I'm going to take this up for a ride.
But I need a series
I would have been dead.
A young budding lesbian romance between two Action Land? Action Park?
Yeah,
Action
Park.
Action
Class
Park.
Action Land.
That would be cute.
Like just
Class Action Land. And all their friends just keep dying.
Just dying around them, just bodies, just ignoring it.
Oh, okay. No, okay. I'm obsessed. Go on.
All right. Another Motor World ride was the Battle Action Tanks. They were a very popular ride, and they were also an additional fee. They were literally like these little mini tanks in a chain linked like fence enclosed area, and they were equipped with these like tennis ball cannons. So like you could ride around in these little tanks and like you'd shoot these little tennis balls at each other, and
they would land under the wheel of the go-karts, which would allow them to go 5,000 miles an hour.
They're helping them out, helping their buddies out.
That's where the go-karts got their fucking tennis balls. So like the goal was like there was like a target on the tank that you could use to like disable the cannon for like a few seconds. So it was like paintball with cannons.
This is amazing.
But there was also like if you didn't want to ride the actual battle action tanks, there was like a stationary cannon like in a viewing area of the tanks where like guests could just like shoot from the stationary cannons, and apparently a bunch of like of the employees would get injured because every time something would break down they'd have to go out and like fix the tanks, and then all the guests watching at the stationary area would start shooting the tennis balls at the employees like real pieces of shit.
Oh my god.
And there apparently was an incident where one guest poured lighter fluid on a tennis ball and ignited it before throwing it at somebody.
No, this okay, it's getting closer and closer to Lord of the Flies. I
love it so much.
in love with this. And I also love the fact that like Frank Action Wallaby or whatever the fuck his name is did absolutely nothing to prevent this.
And you know what? His guests are totally on board with it. They come because they're like, yeah, this is the dangerous Lord of the Flies
these
place.
are sickos.
These are sickos.
You know what it reminds me of?
These people are fucked in the head.
It reminds me of those horror houses where they can like fuck with you like in a big way, where they can like you sign waivers and they can like put you in a box and fill it with water. They basically torture you for the entire duration that you're in these houses.
Absolutely the fuck not.
Oh, I wouldn't do it. I would 1,000% never do it. But there are people who do this and they're really into it. Yeah. And it's wild. Like there's one in particular, there's one house in particular, I forget what it's called, but there's
McCamey Manor.
Probably that one. Yeah.
McCamey Manor.
And
it was in San Diego. And I can't wait till he dies because we're doing an episode on him.
Oh yeah, we are. Oh, he's a piece of shit.
He sucks. He sucks.
He's horrible. And it's insane the stories that come out of like what people have gone through.
Yeah. Literally just torture.
Yeah.
Literally like
just torturing, straight up torturing people. But people like, it is a badge of honor for some of those people. Like they come out of it and they're like, yeah, I survived this thing. And it's like, cool. I don't want to do that. That doesn't sound fun. But I gotta say, if I could shoot a flaming tennis ball at somebody or drive drunk and high off of LSD
on a freeway in a go-kart
highway.
Mandy,
100%.
You and I, we would have so much fun here. I think. I mean,
so
we're from
fun.
Maine and Florida. We are just white trash enough that this would be like our fucking heaven.
This is our place. This is our magic place, Hoots.
Absolutely, I would not be okay. Like, are you fucking kidding me with this? Like, absolutely not.
Caelan's like, no, fuck all this, and we're like, no, let's do it. It sounds fun.
I legitimately will not even go on a roller coaster because I'm like, my life has been scary enough. Like, I'm good. I'm done. I'm full up. Thank you so much.
I can do a little roller coaster. See, I'm actually terrified of heights, so I have a hard time with roller coasters. But I can do like a little one as long as I have like loops or something like that. Then I can maybe do it.
As long as it's not like the Cannonball.
I'm a baby. No, I couldn't do the Cannonball Loop. I would get stuck. I would get stuck in that damn thing.
So God, we're just like almost through with the first land. So Motor World also had the super speed boats, which were what they sound like. They're like speed boats that were set up on a small pond. But the pond was known by the park to be heavily infested with snakes.
This place keeps getting better and better.
And I can't remember. I believe this is the one where like somebody was almost decapitated. They lived. They were fine. But like somebody like ramped their boat and landed on top of another boat. And he got away because he just got out of the speedboat and ran and nobody caught him.
Well, they were 14.
Amazing. Just
they
an
were going to
amazing
chase
place.
him down.
No, they were like, well, he ran away.
Snakes.
It's like if you work in retail and somebody steals something, like they tell you, like, don't chase them. It doesn't matter.
Don't be here. No one cares. Don't do it.
No one cares. There were also bumper boats, which were what they sound like. They were like motorized boats that were like kind of inner tubes that you could bump.
Sounds safe.
And they were supposedly safer than the super speed boats, but the engines leaked, and at least like one rider got injured because too much gasoline from the engine got on their skin, and they had like severe chemical burns. And tall rider, like they were so small that like tall riders had to like do the bumpers with their like legs hanging over the edges of them. So like, and it's bumper boats, so they would like fracture their ankles.
Absolutely the fuck not.
You know, it's interesting. Funtown has bumper boats, and not Splashtown. Funtown specifically has the bumper boats, but they're pretty good size. Like you can fit like even a tall person. Like you might have your knees kind of in your face, but yeah,
sounds safe.
So I've been on bumper boats before, and they're usually pretty chill. But these don't sound very chill.
These were not chill.
No.
These were not chill. However, there was at Motor World, there was a drop tower ride and a slingshot ride. So like Tower of Terror, whatever, that just like takes you up and drops you.
Yeah.
And slingshot, where like you're in that seat and it's attached to two bungees and they
it lets you go.
Both of those were totally safe. Both of those were totally safe. No injuries, no deaths, nothing like
the
that.
most terrifying rides for me personally are the ones that are, of course, safest, of course.
Yeah, same. The ones that seem like the scariest were the ones that was like totally fine. Go on that one. The next land was Water World, which had the aforementioned Cannonball Loop, and the tidal wave pool that was nicknamed the Grave Pool. So this was a wave pool that was about 100 feet, 30 meters wide by 250 feet, 76 meters long. And it could hold up to about 1,000 people. And waves were generated at 20-minute intervals with 10-minute breaks. And they could reach up to 50 inches in height. And it was incredibly murky water due to a combination of runoff, human waste, and human bodily fluids from injuries.
No, not blood and shit waves.
Blood and shit waves.
Not a 50-inch tall blood and shit wave. No, what's happening?
And the wave pool was made from fresh water, so it wasn't as buoyant as actual ocean waves or like normal. Like if you go in a wave pool at a normal water park, it's always like a sequestered area that is salt water.
Yeah,
because like salt water is more buoyant.
Right? Yeah.
So the freshwater wasn't as buoyant as the actual ocean. And so even experienced swimmers would just like sink to the bottom.
So people are being like pulled under.
12 lifeguards were on duty at all times. And on high traffic weekends, they were known to rescue as many as 30 people per lifeguard per day, as compared to 1 or 2 for the average lifeguard to make in an entire season. So a normal lifeguard will rescue 1 or 2 people in an entire summer. And like at Action Park, at the fucking wave pool alone, each lifeguard would rescue about 30 people per lifeguard per day.
And like a shift.
And you said there was 12?
12.
12.
So we're talking hundreds of people. Hundreds of people would need to be rescued a day.
Because like a shift, you imagine, must be like what?
Yeah.
4 hours at least.
Probably
right?
4 to 8.
Like,
yeah.
Maybe they're taking a break here and then they come back, but like still that's insane.
So 30 people over your 4 to 8 hour shift.
That's wild.
And if you had to be rescued by the lifeguards, you would be sent out into the park, but they give you a wristband that says CFS on it, and that stood for Can't Fucking Swim. Again, shitty asshole teenagers.
I love it. Oh my god, this is amazing.
No, I love them.
This might be my favorite one so far.
I know. I love them so much. I wish I had grown up being them, but also I don't because I want to live.
Ooh, look at me. I'm Hoots and I don't want to have teeth in my skin. Whatever.
I like my teeth. So the Waterworld part of the park also had the whitewater kayak experience, which used submerged electric fans to create whitewater.
Wait. Is that how that works? Are you supposed to use electric?
That's how it worked at Action Park.
Dear
That's how it worked
science.
at Action Park. And they had the Roaring Rapids, which was a raft-based whitewater ride. So they had a kayak whitewater ride and a raft-based whitewater ride. And the Roaring Rapids were the source of dozens of fractured bones. They also had the Tarzan swing, which was just like a swing that someone would take to like jump into the lake below. And the water was so frigid that people would frequently go into shock when they jumped in from the swing and would need to be rescued by lifeguards.
Those fucking lifeguards. I hope they got paid well.
I don't think they did, Mandy. I don't think they got paid
They
well.
probably did it.
I want to talk to one of those lifeguards.
Not nearly enough to deal with, 30 people every shift.
Mm-mm. So the Waterworld also had the diving cliffs, which were like situated over an area where other guests were swimming, and there was no barrier separating the swimming guests from where the divers were meant to land. So there were frequent guest injuries from guests just jumping on top of other guests.
This seems like
just like drunk people slamming into each
this
other.
seems like what happens when you decide you don't really feel like playing The Sims anymore, but you're not quite done fucking with them. Like this entire park.
This is roller coaster tycoon. It's roller coaster tycoon.
It's roller tycoon, but in person.
Oh my god.
I love it so much.
I can't stop crying. This is amazing. What a gift you brought to us.
So I'm not even done with Waterworld. So Waterworld also had a section called Surf Hill, which is like a very common thing in water parks. It's like one of those water slides that's built into a hill, and you just like ride slick mats into puddles on the ground, like from the top of the hill to the bottom.
Yeah.
So there were several lanes.
Yeah, I've done that before.
Yeah, they're like at every water park.
Yeah.
And there were several lanes, as there is at like every water park. And lane 7 was known as the backbreaker lane because about 2/3 of the way down, you could basically like get some air. You could like launch off and get in the air. And it was famous for both injuries and for female guests losing their bikini tops when riding down it. And when Eugene Mulvihill found out about this, he set up a special viewing area for the ride.
That little rat.
See, he was like, "Oh, some of my teenage guests' tops are coming off. Well, I guess we gotta set up some bleachers."
Wow.
He's such a piece of shit.
Oh my god. This little
Jesus
fucking
Christ.
He's such a piece of shit.
dirtbag.
For his, again, largely underage
Yeah,
guests.
exactly. That's like, those are children. They're children. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
Yeah, I'm like, these are babies.
These are teenagers on summer break who their parents
Literal
drop them
dirt.
off and are
Oh
picking
my
them up
God.
at the end of
Yeah.
the day. Like,
Okay, I have a question.
yeah.
Did Donald Trump see that?
I
before
don't
he
think so.
said
I think he
no?
would have invested.
Yeah, he totally would have been.
Okay,
I think-
I was starting to get confused. I'm like, something's not adding up here,
Yeah.
bestie.
I think he just saw the loop.
I think that was yeah. I don't think he saw that. Maybe he set up the viewing area after Donald Trump came.
It must have been after.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Waterworld also had a skydiving simulator where guests would frequently fracture their arms and wrists by landing wrong. So like one of those like air tunnel things, but they would
Oh.
always like you're not supposed to like try to catch yourself on your arms, but the teenage employees wouldn't tell the guests that, so they'd try to catch themselves with their arms and break their arms.
And then
Oh
they
my
would get a wristband that
God.
says "can't fucking fly."
Imagine going there without knowing their reputation.
CFF.
Like, okay, imagine going there without knowing anything about it. Like, there are people that are like, "Oh, I'm going there so I can survive it." But there are people that are like, "Oh, look, there's a nice place here in Townie that we can come visit."
With their children?
Yeah. And they're like, "Oh, now go down the slide." And the children comes out with like teeth like launched into the side of their face. Like,
It's interesting
It's such
too.
a nightmare.
It's interesting too, because like this was before the internet too. Like at least the way that we know the internet now, you
Yeah.
know. So like if this happened now, there would be viral videos. You would have that like those people who'd be like seeking it out like, oh, I got to do this thing. It's insane. It's really bad. Let's go do it. Whereas back then.
Yeah. You wouldn't be able to Google it without like the first result coming up being like, look at this fucking crazy place. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. It's just, you just see the ads on TV back in the 80s and you're like, well, that seems like a fun place to take the family.
It even said right on the ad, it was a fun place to take my family.
Action land.
And it said, you control the action. You control the action.
You like very much don't.
You control how many bones you break.
So the final land for Action Park is the Alpine Center, which included a ride called the Transmobile, because I assume Gene Mulvihill was an ally. JK, I think it was just like a monorail type thing. Nobody got hurt on that. There was also a skate park that was like so poorly constructed that it was very short-lived, and they very quickly filled it up with dirt and closed it.
Just like they did with his grave. Sorry, too soon. Eventually, too soon.
But I think that's significant because like everything else, they were like, if you get hurt, you get hurt. But the skate park, they were like, no, we gotta shut this down.
like how bad must the skate park have been?
It was like made of knives.
Where like the cannon tooth loop was allowed to survive, but like the skate park was too dangerous.
Can't have anyone doing a half bowl off those knives. It's just too much.
There was again ironically a bungee jumping experience that was completely safe. Like no injuries on the bungee jumping experience. Wild.
It's because he didn't design it. It's just like bungee jumping is just bungee jumping. It's like when he gets his grubby little brain all over it, that things start to go haywire.
I think you're onto something there. And finally, there was the infamous Alpine slide, which was a concrete slide that guests would access via chairlifts and ride down on a fiberglass sled. The sleds were equipped with brakes that sometimes didn't work. And drunk guests that were taking the chairlifts up to the top of the ride would often spit on riders below them or even try to drop their fiberglass sleds on top of them from the chairlifts.
Oh my God. I would 100% go there just to like sled someone. I'm like, do you want to go sledding? And they'd be like, yeah. I'm like, no, like sledding. Like when you whip a sled down at like... Oh my!
When you try to kill someone with a sled, everybody here is fucking homicidal. Just the worst people.
I love how everybody hates each other at this park.
Right? It's like
guests hate each other. The employees hate the guests. It's amazing.
It's hard to feel like he did anything wrong.
It's the exact opposite of solidarity. It's like if the Joker designed a theme park.
I honestly,
I'm losing my fucking mind.
I can't even hate Gene Mulvihill that much because he gave sociopaths a place to call home. So the chairlift required a ticket to take you to the top of the ride, but often guests would sneak on without one. Like, I guess it was easy to sneak onto the chairlift without a ticket. So to dissuade them, Gene Mulvihill got a fake cattle prod and staged a stunt with one of his teenaged employees where he confronted him for not buying a ticket and pretended to shock him with the fake cattle prod. And then Action Park was flooded with angry calls from parents saying that their kids saw Gene Mulvihill kill a man at Action Park.
I believe them.
Just a fucking lunatic.
I 100% believe them.
I just like imagining the like meeting. Like he just like called. He was like, "Hey, Ted, come in here. You're an actor, right? You do community theater. Can you pretend to die for me?"
Wait, was the skit that he died or just that he shocked him?
I think it was that he shocked him and he like passed out. But I guess like a bunch of the children thought that they witnessed a murder.
But she got urban legendized.
Amazing.
I love it.
So in 2018, Johnny Knoxville starred in Action Point, which was a movie based on Action Park, and it was basically just like Johnny Knoxville doing a bunch of like Jackass style stunts based on some of the old Action Park rides with like a loose plot kind of draped over the top of it.
Okay.
And I want to quote now from a write-up from Sports Illustrated. Quote, "Nothing speaks more to the park's danger quotient than the admission from Knoxville, who has been pepper sprayed, stun gunned, shot out of a cannon, socked in the testicles by a sledgehammer, gored in the stomach by a bull, and KO'd by heavyweight boxer Butterbean, that in trying to duplicate some of Action Park's perilous quote-unquote amusements, he was more seriously injured than in any of his Jackass exploits. He suffered 4 concussions, knocked out a few teeth, earned several stitches, and as we shall see, that wasn't the worst of it." I haven't watched this movie, but I really want to.
I want to watch it now.
Johnny Knoxville was like, "This is worse than Jackass."
That's pretty bad.
We need to watch this movie at some point.
Cool.
We need to stream this for our patrons.
Question: when he lost the teeth,
Absolutely.
did they put them in the slide or to really make it more authentic?
I think the slide collects them itself. I think when you go
He's like
in,
a
the
sentient
slide is like,
creature.
yes, more.
Oh my god, this
Like-
thing is.
It's like making a mouth out of you. Just like a very just.
It's collecting
I wish I
teeth
hadn't said-
so that it can reach its final form.
It's just all like teeth all the way down.
We can't. We honestly we
Just
can't let
teeth.
it collect all of its teeth, or we're done for.
Yeah, I'm like, how many teeth does it have, and how many teeth are there to go?
till it's complete.
How quick we are to forget the dreaded tooth slide. And it's
Fucking old ones.
It
shit.
terrible
looks like a proboscis or a proboscis
Yes,
or
it
whatever the fuck it's
does.
called.
But imagine it's full of teeth.
Oh, I'm still looking at it, and the little extra little like loop-de-loop at the bottom, like the little extra bit that's like hanging off, just really grosses.
It does it for
fuck out of
you.
me. Like there's something about it that like really makes me feel like so uncomfortable in like a very like primal way. Like there's just something so nasty about this slide. Like it just feels
My
wrong.
animal brain-
Yeah, it's like I'm just looking
my
at something
lizard
that's
brain
wrong.
sees that and goes, "That's danger. That is danger."
It literally looks like something that you would do as a joke in Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Yes, no, absolutely.
Yeah, it really does.
So Action Park was not required to report smaller injuries, which was anything that didn't require an emergency room visit. So the actual numbers of injuries at Action Park are unknown. But on a weekend, the hospital would see dozens of injuries. Action Park overwhelmed the city of Vernon's emergency personnel so much, especially on the weekends, that the Vernon hospitals petitioned the city to get Gene Mulvihill to purchase his own Action Park ambulances to take people to the hospital.
Did he?
And he did.
Oh, nice.
And he did.
And it was run by a high 12-year-old.
Probably. I mean, I didn't say they were good ambulances.
No.
They weren't staffed by
They're like
EMTs.
literally go-karts.
The ones that go to 50 miles per hour.
Literally, get on the go-kart. Yeah.
What, we painted a red cross on the side of it. The 14-year-old on LSD driving it is going wee wee. So is that not okay? Like,
having the time of his life. So, despite this, Action Park was such a draw to the area that Gene Mulvihill fully ingratiated himself with the politics of the area, and most of the business owners and city councilmen were just like in Mulvihill's pocket. So they would just kind of like look the other way while he was committing crimes. And if anyone did try to sue him, he would never settle. and he would try to take them to trial every time and just like bankrupt them that way. He was like very Trumpian in that respect. Like,
yeah, I was about to say.
Yeah, and also like Trumpian in that if he lost, he just like straight up wouldn't pay. And
I hate that Trumpian is a word now. Like it really bothers me that it's a word now. But sorry, go on.
It does make me feel gross, and it makes me feel very like blue MAGA. I'm like, he's just like Donald Trump, but he is. He was like besties with Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And I think Trump is Mulvihillian rather. I don't know who learned from whomst.
Chicken or the wig.
Yeah, chicken or the wig. So if he lost a case, he just like would refuse to pay, and very frequently the teenagers who worked for him would have to deal with the feds showing up at Action Park looking for Gene.
No.
And they'd have to go get him and be like, Gene, you gotta get out your checkbook, buddy.
The spooks are here.
Imagine being 14 and the fucking feds show up and they're just like, where's your boss?
14 and drunk and on LSD and the feds show up.
Oh no. And they're like, do you know why I'm here? And they're like
poor
shaking like a leaf.
And then the 17-year-olds are like, yeah, I've been at this
smoking a cigarette out back like that.
It's not my first rodeo.
Get used to it.
So this might surprise you guys, but Gene Mulvihill didn't believe in insurance.
No.
But legally, he had to have insurance in order to run an amusement park. So you know what he did to solve that problem?
No.
I love it already.
I'm excited. I'm so excited. What is it?
He founded his own insurance company based in...
No, he didn't.
I love him so much.
That is legitimately fucking iconic. Gay icon.
Gay icon.
Gene Mulvihill.
There's
Oh
nothing
my
more
God.
gay than being like such a horrible fucking scammer. Like this is so perfect. I'm obsessed.
This is amazing.
So he founded his own insurance company based out of the Cayman Islands and sold himself insurance. And he was indicted for insurance fraud in 1984.
Okay, it didn't occur to me that would be illegal.
Oh.
Just FYI. I was like, no, it's a loophole. It's fine. Like, no,
It is not
apparently
fine.
not.
I mean, I think it started as a loophole and eventually became like a, hey, you're actually not supposed to do that.
Like you have like a whole business in the Cayman Islands that's like not a real business.
You cannot insure yourself.
It's like, yeah, I decided that you're not at fault every single time.
Right? Weird how that keeps happening. You're just never in fault.
It's like, oh no, it's no fault insurance in that it's never my fault.
It's never my fault.
He is truly like
A visionary.
I don't know if the libertarians have a god, but he should be that god.
If any libertarians are listening,
This is the most libertarian shit I've heard in my life. Staring at teenage titties and not buying insurance.
oh my god, this guy.
And yet, despite these setbacks, he still soldiered on. And for a while, he refused to pay rent to the state of New Jersey on the portion of land that the amusement park sat.
He's a libertarian.
He refused. Listen,
He's like, this land is our land, and this land is my
This land
land,
is
and this
my
land will never be
land.
your land because I don't recognize your authority. Like,
so
I'm sorry.
he owned like a portion of the land that the park sat on, but some of it was like rented from the state of New Jersey, and he just like stopped paying rent, and he got so annoying about not paying rent that the state just like gave up and sold it to him for $800,000.
Oh my god.
The rules for the rich are so much different than for poor people. It doesn't make any sense.
They were like, just fucking take the land, you piece of shit.
oh yeah, the police would show up, we get evicted, dragged out of there, kicking and screaming.
We would get
but
evicted.
They're just,
We would get evicted.
This guy, they're just like, fuck it, we'll just sell it to you, I guess. Like,
No. Sorry, I'm just picturing the police, the like sheriff busting down Mandy's door and like looking around, and all they see is like this like horrible slide made of teeth and like a tiny little go-kart ambulance. A little 14-year-old going wee wee on the top. Like when you come to collect the rent and then you see what he's done with the place, there's like the old skate park that's just been filled in with fertilizer. Like everybody's crying, several people have concussions, there's like broken arms, teeth lodged in people's shoulders. Like what? Like what the literal? Okay,
you just like take the land, just take it. Just we don't. You know what? We don't need the rent. We'll go somewhere else.
I know that there are human rights, but should not have someone from like,
oh my god,
the park rangers or the sheriff put a bullet in his head. Like, like he is like an evil. Like this is like an evil.
He made them a lot of money, though. He made the town a lot of money,
but he wasn't
and that
paying
was it.
them.
He wasn't paying them rent, but all of the businessmen,
like the tourists and the people coming in and out, and and the investors, because like you said, it was a big draw.
But they got money from just like people coming to go to this. Yeah, they couldn't have put a zoo there. They couldn't have put a bullet in his head and then put a zoo there.
I mean, I don't know anything about his. I don't know anything about his taxes. I'm going to assume that he never paid tax or paid as little as he could. But he brought so much business to the area that all of the like city councilmen and the businessmen like backed him up because they were like, we need him to like fill our restaurants. And so like the cops would show up and they'd be like, sorry, Mr. Mulvihill, we have to take some money from you because you got sued for killing that guy. Speaking of killing that guy, let's get into the deaths.
Yeah.
Okay, just very, very quickly. You have like for-profit healthcare in the States or whatever.
Yeah.
So the hospital was probably super in with him too.
Making bang.
Yeah, that hospital is making a shit ton of money. They didn't even have to use their own ambulances anymore. Like,
yeah.
Okay, I see it now.
Especially after he installed the ambulances, because it's like, well, this is a pain in the ass if we have to drive there all the time. But now that you're driving them to us,
yeah, they were like, he never
even a pretty sweet deal.
He never even pays for gas, and we always have to pick him up.
Yeah, we'll set those bones.
Okay, I want to hear about the dead. That's why we're here.
Yeah. So believe it or not, people died at Action Park. Maybe not as many as you would think, though.
12.
So
I said 12. What is it?
It's 6. It's half that.
Okay, so definitely not as many as I would think.
I was speaking at least double digits, so that's a lot lower than I was expecting. Yep.
It's incredible how low it is. Again, injuries in the thousands. Like, we'll never know how many injuries.
Yeah.
But the deaths are pretty low. 6 deaths in 18 years, though. So the number of years that it was open was also very low. It's not like...
That's not good odds.
Disney, I think Disney is in the double digits now, but Disney's been open for like 70 years.
There's also like all the people that got like tooth meningitis or whatever and died at home.
And died later. Yeah, we're not counting the people who fucking convalesced after getting tooth arm fever.
No.
Okay, so the first death.
Oof, okay.
On July 8th, 1980, a 19-year-old George Larson Jr. was on the Alpine slide, that concrete slide, when he flung from the track. He flew about 25 feet. Jesus Christ. It's so bad. I don't want to laugh, but it's so long
This is
to fly.
every dream I've ever walked down a hill or something. It's like, oh no, I'm in the air and I've been in the air for a very long time. This is not going to end well.
It's like something from a cartoon. He flew 25 feet.
Jesus.
And he hit his head on a rock. He fell into a coma and he died several days later. So Larson Jr. had previously been a park employee. He was in the park as a guest that day. But because he had previously been a park employee, Gene Mulvihill tried to cover up the incident by saying that he was a current park employee who had snuck into the ride after hours and crashed. He had not. He crashed while riding as a guest during the day. And that story really stuck. That story like stuck in several news articles, like Gene's story that like, oh, he snuck in after dark and he was drunk and he was riding it at night.
Right.
No, he was there as a guest. He hadn't worked for them in like years.
Okay, sorry. I have not looked up this man. What is his name? Gene
Mulvihill. Mulvihill.
Yeah, there he is. I just want to see an image of him.
He looks like a New Jersey entrepreneur.
What the fuck?
Which is to say, kind of looks like a thumb with hair.
He looks like a mask that melted. It looks like Gran Linehan's ugly brother.
That's bad.
So embarrassing. Yeah, okay. Oh, the hair is especially heinous.
The hair is never good in the Northeast. New York, New Jersey. They've all got
very
bad hair.
intense link.
Oh, that's a really...
I was like, I don't think that link is a real link.
I don't think that link is a real link.
That's not. I think that's just the teeth slide trying to communicate with us.
Stop it, Mandy. I want to sleep tonight.
Sorry.
That's him at his German pub.
Oh, honey.
Yeah, at his German pub.
What is...
Look at those turf bangs. Okay, sorry. Now that I've pictured it, now that I can picture him, I can see how slimy he is.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a slimer.
He's very, like, no offense to any New Jersey listeners, but, like, kind of offense. He's very New Jersey.
Mm.
So, in 1982, a 15-year-old George Lopez drowned in the wave pool for obvious reasons. Somebody was gonna.
The other
like a swamp.
The 12 lifeguards were probably all busy.
They couldn't see him because there was so much shit in the water.
The electric fans underneath the water.
And my notes say later. I think this is a year later. Jeffrey Nathan collapsed while riding the Whitewater Kayak Experience, which is the one that had electric fans underneath it.
Oh, yeah, that
he
one.
He allegedly suffered an electric shock, which triggered a cardiac arrest, and he died at a local hospital.
Oh my fucking God. Okay, like literally every single one of these is like completely and utterly avoidable. Like,
yeah.
Oh my God.
This is like, there are lots of theme park. Like, I think the theme park like franchise that has the most deaths is Six Flags. But if you look into it, like most Six Flags deaths are the result of like the guests going where they're not supposed to go. Very often it's like they'll walk into like a restricted area and they'll get like kicked by somebody on a roller coaster or whatever. This is all like,
this is all on Gene.
All of these deaths are down to the park.
Really a lack of engineering or any care given at all.
Like none of this is the guest like doing something they're not supposed to do.
Yeah.
In 1984, another guest died from a heart attack that was believed to be caused by the shock of hitting the water underneath the Tarzan spring, because it was so cold that like so many people would go into shock, and somebody like went into shock and had a heart attack.
Yeah.
And a couple of weeks later, a 20-year-old named Donald DePass drowned in the wave pool, and another wave pool person. And in 1987, an 18-year-old named Gregory Grandchamps also drowned in the wave pool.
Jesus.
So it's the grave pool. And as the 80s gave way into the 90s, many of the kids that went to Action Park as teens grew up and they had their own kids, and they were less likely to want their own children to attend Action Park in the summer.
You're never going.
Never going
like,
there.
This was so fun when I did it. You are never going.
You're never going.
And so a mix of low attendance and mounting debt from the numerous lawsuits and federal indictments finally killed Action Park by the summer of 1997. Gene Mulvihill would take a little bit longer to die. The former property of Action Park would change hands a few times over the years until in 2010, Gene Mulvihill and his son, Andy, would buy it back intending to resurrect Action Park for a new generation.
No.
Lucky for us, our Lord and Savior, Satan himself, heard that and called Gene home 2 years later on October 27th, 2012.
It was like, you've done enough, my son. Come rest.
Come home.
You have done what you meant to do, created a hell on fucking earth.
You have done my work well. Now come rest here in this little.
Oh my God, I picture him going to hell down a tooth slide, and it makes me so happy.
And it never stops. The tooth slide just never stops.
No, once he loops, he's back at the top. It's just like the ninth circle of hell or whatever the fuck is just a tooth slide.
That's the worst circle of hell. Dante could never.
No, Dante did not understand the level of depravity that like Gene Action Roddenberry.
Gene Action Roddenberry.
Oh, that's good.
So Gene Mulvihill died on October 27th, 2012, before he could reopen his deranged fucking theme park. And at the time of his death, then Governor Chris Christie said of Mulvihill, Gene Mulvihill's contributions to the economic development of Sussex County are unquestionable. His unique vision and entrepreneurial spirit will be greatly missed.
His unique vision in which high 12-year-olds shoot tennis balls at each other.
Occasionally on fire.
Okay, buddy.
His vision is unique.
He did have a unique vision. Yeah, I'm like, all of these words are true. It's like he made us money. And he did some things that other people wouldn't do. And it's like, legally and
morally,
and like just people that understand physics or are willing to pay people that understand physics.
Most people.
So a little epilogue.
Okay.
A little epilogue. In 2014, Andy Mulvihill briefly succeeded in reopening a newer, safer version of Action Park. But in 2016, it changed its name again to Mountain Creek Water Park, which is one of the several theme parks that occupied the interregnum years between 1997 and 2010. And Action Park, as we know it, is gone once more.
Rest in hell, you piece of shit.
R.I.P. to a real one.
I love it. I love it.
I love it so much.
So I'm curious, Hoots, is this one of, and maybe you don't know this, but is this one of those theme parks where like you can still see the bones of it? Like, are there still empty lots anywhere?
It's now a different water park.
It's just completely different. Okay.
It's being used. Yeah. It's a different water park. Like some of the bones are still there, but they're like part of other, like all of the dangerous rides have been closed.
Yeah.
But that property over the like couple of decades between the closing and the reopening was always owned by other amusement park companies. It changed hands several times. They got rid of a lot of rides. It was never like the size that it used to be.
Yeah.
And never as dangerous as it used to be.
Oh my God. I want to.
Truly amazing.
I want to just go out and just pour one out in respect.
For my homie. Pour one out for my homies. Action Park.
Action Park. Always in our hearts.
So yeah.
I wish I could go. I wish I could see this train wreck in action. Damn.
I wish I could go. It was another time. I can't imagine like what kind of viruses and bacteria they got in their open wounds there. Like I grew up in Florida where we have flesh-eating bacteria.
Yeah, see, I would not be going just because of that. Like, no, there is definitely there's something new and fresh being cooked up there
Totally.
at least every day.
That's
like,
where we got COVID.
That's where COVID was
actually,
born.
it's
Yep.
We don't know. It's possible.
I wouldn't be surprised.
So you see why I kind of I started writing this and I was like, God, how is it just like about the man? but it's not like, because the theme park is an extension of the man.
It's what he made.
the art he created.
Yeah.
And I was like, this isn't just about the death of a man. It's about the death of a theme park.
It is, and I'm glad you focused on the theme park so much because there was just so much to talk about.
Fucking
it just kept giving. I just kept giving. It's amazing.
Oh my fucking God.
So that's the story of Eugene Mulvihill.
Wait, sorry, what did he die of?
It's not public record. I think he just died of natural causes.
Oh, okay.
His family has never said.
Okay. I just had to check.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to know who to thank.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Park. The spirit of the park caught up with him finally.
Satan called him home. So I've been Hoots.
I'm mainly Mandy.
I'm Caelan Conrad.
And that was Respect the Dead. We love you, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Respect the Dead. You can follow Respect the Dead on Instagram and Twitter @_Respect the Dead.
If you want to follow us individually, you can find our socials in the show notes. And you should check out our YouTube channels. We don't shit on dead people there as often, but still, we're making tons of cool stuff.
If you enjoyed Respect the Dead and would like to support us, there's a couple of ways to do that.
You can give us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you found us. Give us at least 5 stars and then share us with a good friend who likes venting about dead people.
You can also give us some money over on our Patreon. Patreon supporters get some cool bonus content like bloopers from the cutting room floor and even coming up with a fake sponsor ad that we'll read in an episode. It has to be a fake business though, not your MLM Henny.
Thanks so much for listening. Join us every Monday for our next Worm Feast.
I'm Caelan Conrad.
I'm mainly Mandy.
And I'm Hoots. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.